Guten Morgen, my wabble of wowdy wuffians.
Today is a sad day because today is the end of my research phase, and so I will be doing less of these videos as we move forward. Why? Because I need to get on and actually do things with what I have been learning. It's the end of September here in Australia, and for me that means summer is nearly here, but for you folks in the Northern Hemisphere, it will mean colder days drawing in.
I won't completely stop doing these, but I will dial it all back. And for the final video of this September 2025 research phase, I'm going to talk about shot management, organization, and why you need it if you are planning on making anything longer than a TikTok video. You really should be at this point, because we are very close to making acceptable footage. What you are looking at as I babble on once again is the latest version of my prologue for what was a stage play, and I am going to test adapting into an AI film, at least make a start on it. As you can see, there are still issues, especially with seams and extending videos, and so research never really ends. But my focus is now going to shift to storyboard and make the shots to tell this story, which is, of course, The Highwayman, recently retitled for this version to The Highwaymen, plural, which brings me neatly to the first point of AI storytelling, which is have a plan, but let AI redirect you. Now, I will quickly mention that the last few days I have been testing Wanimate, and it looks pretty damn good. I will be testing it as soon as I finish up with this video on the dialogue scene, which comes next after the prologue. So let's talk a bit about shot management. And I don't pretend to be an expert. I will just share what worked for me on Footprints in Eternity, which is now playing as I speak. I will discuss lessons learned from that experience and how I plan to approach dialogue-driven storytelling, which only came into existence, well, a month ago maybe. Wow, crazy the speed this AI thing is evolving at. I finished work on the narrated noir called Footprints in Eternity in June, and it was because I knew lip sync was about to come out. So since then I've been learning and researching, as you know. I've also had quite a bit of good feedback, even little things like don't put the website over the top of the story, stuff like that. I am an absolute novice when it comes to making movies, and maybe that is a good thing because I don't know what is bad to tell the difference, and I am also open to feedback. Some of it. And I am babbling again, so let's get stuck in with the CSV I use to track my shots during the making of Footprints. This CSV you can see on the screen now. I only made 120 shots, and that didn't seem like a lot when in a CSV, but once I started doing take after take after take, that mounted up, and I lost track of shots. It's impossible not to, even if you use a CSV, but if I hadn't, I would not have even finished this because I would have got lost. So, start there with a CSV, and the naming convention I use is as good as any. I got it from ChatGPT, obviously, and that was back in April, so it would probably tell me different now. We can ignore the first column, but there's actually just region and marker points with timecode I removed. I had that for exporting timecode positions out to Reaper, where I made video storyboard to test the ideas. All very fancy. Something I do recommend, but now I would just stick to using DaVinci Resolve, which is a free version, and I absolutely 100% recommend you start to learn it now, so you are ready for when you complete your first masterpiece. So let's talk about shot aims, and really you can use what you like, but maybe there is some convention, and I tried to get that from ChatGPT and ended up doing what I do here, and still I do it. But lesson one was, don't expect it to stay in order. It won't. Why? Because when it comes time to edit your ideas in a visual storyboard and see how they play out, they won't go how you expected. You can see in this example, it starts jumping numbers harder than Fonzie jumped the shark. You will have to make new shots, cut away shots, in between shots, and extra shots. So the other BIG lesson is don't get hung up on the plan. Have a plan, but be flexible. That is, let AI dictate. Your life will be easier if you do that. But you need to start thinking of yourself as not only the director, but the producer too, and probably everything else, including the fluffer. Hang on, that was my other job back in the noughties. Did I tell you about the time I worked on a porn movie in converted prison in Wales? That was a hell of a thing. Anyway, moving on. Put things into sections. I am more and more finding that helps, as it allows you to micromanage my plan and work in baby steps. Why? Well, because even though Footprints I knew would be only 10 minutes long, it becomes overwhelming and there is a temptation to give air. So if you work in sections, like just did the last couple of weeks on the prologue for The Highwaymen, then as you reach the end of these sections, you can either take break or get on to the next. I can tell you now, lesson 3 is about psychology and managing yourself. Things like FOMO, organization, mental flexibility, and so on and so forth. Psychological self-management. You will need that because you are alone out here. Very alone. And sometimes you notice that this isn't a big set full of people who care. This is just you with your idea, and some people think your ideas are shit and like to tell you that. It can get tough. Keeping up morale, I mean. So work in sections. And don't make them too long because they'll expand all by themselves anyway. Initially, I was trying to get everything into the CSV and work out what I needed or what I didn't. You will find time of day, country, location, and year are important because they will inform the AI when you need it to give you a stagecoach, not a London bus. I also now include seasons, which I didn't in this example. Why? Because fall in the background will look very different to summer in England. Colour scheme, I worked at the 60-30-10 ratio, which is the idea of 60% of your shot is one colour, and so on. This is a good idea to give your story visual cohesion. Maybe do it by section or theme or whatever you like, but I do recommend noting colour scheme in that format for each shot. Then, of course, there is image prompt that isn't shown here because I did it in another CSV on this project. And today, I don't even use the image prompt, I just track the video prompt because often they are kind of similar. Now, as much as I make a CSV and plan from it, I also only use it as a guide, and the single most important 2 columns will be the shot name and the description. I highly recommend you put a brief 2 or 3 word descriptor at the end of each shot so you can see at a glance what it is. And then add a short description, which is to expand a bit on that. I would also add bigger ideas to a column later on, so when you forget, you have them noted down someplace. As I learn more about movie making, I am thinking that a column for framing is going to be important. That is close up, 2-person shot, over the shoulder shot, and so on. The other thing I have just started doing, because I haven't actually done dialogue properly yet, is using the first few words of the dialogue to name the shot. An example of that is the dialogue from the screenplay of The Highwaymen, you can see on the CSV now. And this brings me to another thing I have already mentioned, but is becoming more and more apparent to me. What works in a screenplay doesn't work in AI or in a movie. I am changing almost everything, and that has led me to change my approach. In Footprints, I planned it all out meticulously and then worked through it, and though I needed some cutaway shots and extra footage later to make things work, it went mostly according to plan. In part, that was because it was narrated. Simple. Now dialogue is already proving difficult. So all the dialogue that has been used to inform the shot names you see here from the CSV, I can guarantee already that most of it is going to change. Now what this also does is go against the grain of standard filmmaking procedures, where everything has to be ultra organized and recorded and followed so everyone is on the same page. Throw that idea out now, because you will do much better letting AI lead the way. And for this reason, I will follow the general gist of a Highwayman screenplay, but will adapt everything on the fly as I go to work better visually and timing-wise. This has become apparent to me from the prologue and mucking about with dialogue test scenes early on that just feel wrong in this setting. So I will allow it to change. More on that as I get going on the project itself. Now, there is more I could say, but I think that is plenty to get you started, and I will try to find some time to do more videos as I make discoveries or find solutions. But what I will do now for the final part of this video is leave you with the slightly bodgy first go at a prologue for my next project, which is The Highwaymen. Till next time, Bambinos.